All right, we're gonna go check out a new build, beautiful property in the neighborhood. And while we're doing that, let's just go and run over what it takes to sell a property as a seller and how you wanna work with your real estate agent to make sure you get the most money for your property. Let's go. Yeah, it might be the garage key. All right, so you are a seller and you want to put your property on the market and get top dollar. Here's 5 quick steps of how that process works. And it starts with listing contract. So that's a contract that you're gonna have with your realtor. And then number 2 is gonna be, okay, you're putting it on the market. What do you need to do to get it ready? Step number 3 is it's on the market, you found a buyer, they've given you an offer, and now you're in the offer negotiation stage. Step number 4 is, okay, you're under contract, you've got an accepted offer on the property, you're in the due diligence stage. What happens in there? Stay tuned, I'll let you know. And step number 5 is, last but not least, is transfer of ownership. So it's the closing date of the transaction. All right, so step number 1 is the listing contract. So this is the contract that you have as a seller, you have with your realtor. And so what kind of happens here is you want to figure out what your list price is going to be. So what the price you're trying to get for your property. Make sure that you talk with your real estate agent about that, because what they're going to be able to do is run comps, which stand for comparative homes, properties in the area, and that pretty much gives you the value of your property. So it's like if your neighbor's just sold at $400,000 and you got the same house as your neighbor, you're worth $400,000 as well. You might have some amenities that go plus or minus here and there, but that's pretty much what the comp analysis will do. Your agent can run that for you and give you a general ballpark of what you can list your property at and get it sold. So the next thing is sales commission. So your agents work very hard for you, and the seller is the one responsible for compensating them. So what does that mean? Typically, you'll see a percentage of the sale price is used to compensate both the buying agent and the listing agent. So your agent and then whoever the other agent is, the transaction. Sometimes it's even your agent brings the buyer as well. That's what's called a limited agency. And then also is on the listing contract that you sign is kind of what type of agency you have. Are they the only realtors that are marketing your property? If they are, then they have an exclusive right to sell that property, and you can't go shopping it around. And if they find a buyer through their marketing or whatever advertisement, then they are getting their commission paid. You can't cut them out of the deal in that situation. So those are 3 things on a listing contract. And then lastly, it's kind of, how long is the contract going to last for? So do you want to have it where the realtor is marketing it for 30 days, 90 days, a whole year, indefinitely, whatever it may be? So typically you'll agree on that. And then if for some reason the property doesn't sell and it comes to the listing expiration date, so when that contract expires, you'll just renegotiate with your realtor and extend it out a little bit if you guys still think that selling is the option that you want to go down. Step number 2 is the fun part, and it's putting your house on the market or your property on the market. So what do you want to do before it goes on the market, before it goes live, before everyone sees it and you start getting buyers? You want to clean the place. Make sure it's tidy. People are going to be walking through. You want to leave that good first impression. Make sure things are organized. And also you want to do that initially because, depending on the price point of the property, there's going to be a professional photographer coming in to take pictures. So you want to make sure those pictures are the ones that everyone's going to see. They're going to see on Zillow. They're going to see it on the MLS, on Realtor.com. So make sure you leave a good first impression by cleaning up the house, get the landscaping out front, mow the lawn, whatever it may be, to give it that extra edge to help sell the property. And those little things will actually drive up the price that you get for selling your home. So it's definitely worth it. You get a lot of return on those activities. The next thing is once you have the pictures, if this is an investment property, the realtor will also want some extra information around tenant rents, tenant leases, when those leases expire. But pretty much now it's gathering the information, the property details, so that you can populate the listing. So the listing being the advertisement of your property online. So once all that's good, you're ready to start, you're ready to go live, you're ready for the world to see your property and potentially bring buyers in. Next thing is usually a lockbox will be put on your property. So the reason for the lockbox is you have a key in there, and that is used by the other agents to come show clients your property so they can check it out. They want to, a lot of people want to see what they're buying before they buy it. I mean, it's a little different in the investment community. Some people will invest from out of state, and pictures and videos are enough for them to shell out money to purchase. But if you're a residential buyer, you most likely want to bring the kids by, you want to go walk through it with you and your significant other, whatever it may be. So there will be a lockbox for showing on the property. And then, so what happens when you got all excited, you got it ready, you put it on the market, and it's just not selling? This happens a lot. Usually it has to do with the market cycle, whether it could be more of a buyer's market, so there could be a lot of supply out there, a lot of other properties, so yours doesn't stand out as much. Well, what happens sometimes is you just start accumulating days on the market, so DOM, and the longer it's on the market, it's not great. You don't want it just sitting there for a long period of time. But you might have to drop the price a little bit, maybe knock off a couple $100,000 just to get it going. All right, so step number 3 is you just got an offer on the property by a buyer or multiple buyers. What does that look like? So this is kind of a negotiation stage where if you get multiple offers, sometimes you have to select which one's better based off the terms. But at the end of the day, congratulations, you got an offer. And so you'll pretty much work with your agent to determine which one is best suited for you. Some might be cash offers, some might have conventional loans. The closing period might change between multiple offers, and then there might be differences even in the inspection period and stuff like that. So if you need to move quickly, you probably want to close quickly. If you have some time, you might be able to field some extra offers and try to drive that price up. So let's say the scenario that happens when you have multiple offers come in. So this happens quite a lot, especially when the market is hot. What people like to do, what the agents like to do to try to get you as the seller the highest price is what we call highest and best, or it's also called best and final sometimes. And what that is, okay, you have 3 offers, let's say, that are close to being the same on price and terms. And so you go to those buyers and you say, hey, by tomorrow at 5 p.m., you got to give me your best offer. And, this is the final offer you can put in. And whoever has the best offer, we're going to go with them. That hence highest and best, or best and final. And so what that does is they don't really know what the other person's going to offer and stuff, so it might drive up the competition, drive up the price a little bit. So now that you got someone under contract, you found a buyer, the next step is due diligence. All right, due diligence, step number 4. So what happens in the due diligence period, it's also called, you might hear it under contract or you're in escrow. They all mean the same thing. It's pretty much the time between the accepted offer and when the transaction closes. So during this time, usually the first thing that happens is earnest money is deposited with the title company or with a third party. And what earnest money is, it's a good faith of, hey, I'm going to put a slight, usually 1% down of the purchase price. It's going to be held in escrow, and if I default as a buyer on any of this, then you get to keep that 1% for your troubles and kind of wasting your time through this process. So first steps, earnest money is wired to the third party by the buyer. Next, you have the inspection period. So that's time for an inspector to go out and check out the property. It's not always the case with investment properties, but it definitely will be on the residential side. And then at the end of the inspection period, the buyer will come back with their inspection response because they've been given an inspection report by the inspector. I know I just said inspection a bunch, but stay with me. A report by the inspector is given to the buyer. The buyer analyzes that report. They determine what they want fixed, what they don't want fixed. They send it to you as the seller in the form of an inspection response. Now, when that happens, there's usually some retrading of prices, whether you give them a credit at closing, or even if you go fix some of the items that they had mentioned in their inspection response. That usually happens, so expect it, and don't be alarmed when they're asking for some seller credits or something at closing. So, also in the due diligence period, you got through the inspection period. So now if it's a loan, so if the buyer is getting a loan, then they need time to process that. So it's kind of this in-between period where they're getting insurance, they're getting their loan processed, they're finalizing all the inspection details and stuff like that. And if they need to do any rehab work, they might be getting their contractor ready as well. All right, congratulations. You've made it to step number 5. You are closing on your property. Today's the closing date. What happened? So pretty much you go usually into the title company. If you're out of state, you'll do a mobile closing. But what you're gonna do is sign a bunch of paperwork. And this paperwork, oh my goodness, tongue twister, is pretty much you're assigning the deed, you're transferring the deed and all other property interests over to the new buyer. So also on that day, you want to give them keys, you want to give them any information, garage code, any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they are paying you for the property. You are giving them the deed in return. Congratulations, you have officially just sold your first property. Wasn't that easy? All right, there we have it. You have officially learned how to sell your property. If you liked it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you want to get future video notifications, hit the bell below. And until then, cowboy up.